Yes, sir.
Okay, go.
Cool. So futures. This is what we're looking for right now on futures. Market kind of pushed down towards the end of the day, and I think that where is that? Out here. I think the market closed somewhere around here on the future side of things, and they continue to push down. And my expectation from in fact S&P was to break below that key level of that 3940 and actually push down all the way into 3900. But I think there was Apple and Microsoft kind of had exhausted their push to the downside. I think that's the reason it couldn't actually move lower. But my expectation is still a 3900, and below 3900 we are still looking for that hit of 3985. And I'm still in that camp that thinks that uh, markets should go down, stocks should move lower to actually find value, come back in reality. So things are going to be tough going forward. I think because you are not going to see those kind of gains that we've been seeing for the past couple of years. However, I think once once you have a good understanding of how interest rates are moving, based on that I believe that there will be a at least some sort of a relief rally. Perhaps S&P will run about 500 points, not in a day of course, through the course of time, perhaps about 500 points or something like that. I'm still counting on that, but I am not the one to initiate a buy. I don't want to buy, I don't want to be the first guy who initiates a buy. That's how I'm looking at it. There will be a time to buy, but might be the time is right now. I don't know. But I don't want to be the guy who will initiate the first buy, right? I don't want to catch the bottom. I'm not into that business. Uh, and if the rally continues, I'll jump on that rally. If the rally runs for about, let's say, $100 points, then I'm okay, catching up a good solid 40 points. I'm okay there. So that's what my mind frame is right now. Not looking to catch a bottom or not looking to exit at a top. Although we can chart it, although we know it to a T, which way, which direction, whatnot, depending on day to day, activity. However, I'm not right now in the business of. Last year, it was totally different. It was totally different. So where would the bottom be? You could hold it. You don't have to trim it. Nothing. Just hold it, and it would go there either to the upside or to the downside. Markets were predictable. Right now, even though the markets are going down, it is still unpredictable, right? When there'll be a bounce and what's going to happen. So yeah, I was still in the camp that was looking for that 3900 today, but the bounce happened at 3920. So yeah, go figure. Right. So for futures, if the futures continue to push up, this is where I believe it's going to stop 3958. A breather here is pretty much guaranteed. And then if it clears there, then we'll look for an upside of this number, somewhere around 3965. This is my base case to the upside, 3959. A good to have would be 3965. I'm not plotting anything beyond that right now. Uh, and this is a tight range. As though if you're trading it, this is how you want to be trading it. To the downside, 3926. If that pushes below, 3921, lows of the day. And going by this, we are clearly oversold here. Right? Clearly oversold on both the candles, clearly oversold on this time frame. So you can expect easily, you could have expected a hit of 5. Should that break, a hit of 8. Right now, I think most likely there is enough ammo. The stocks have been pushed down pretty hard. So I think there is enough ammo for this thing to actually clear this 3952 and proceed towards the mean. But this would be a stretch, I think. So let's see if it can clear here, 3951 or something. Then we'll look for a push into 3976. But I'm not really looking for that to get hit yet. But let's see how it behaves at this number. And if it clears there with volume, you see the volume here right now coming down, it made a big volume push. Right now, there's no volume in buying. So if there comes in volume, then probably it will make a push into 21. We'll see how that goes. And on the higher time, so again, this is oversold, and it will come back into push into this and this. But here is something different happening, right? This is becoming oversold. Now, this accompanied with right here, the histogram is telling you that this it's sort of kind of slowing down. Capitulation, maybe not. Uh, Maybe it's I don't know. I really don't know. But what I know is that this thing is orphaned here, so it needs to figure out one way or the other. It needs to either go to the five or come back into the Bollinger Band. I am of the I'm my thought process is I want it to come down, right? I want it to come down, hit a serious level, then start to push up into 4,000 again. And this would act as some solid resistance here, 4,000 on SPX. But yeah, so that's for the futures. And this thing, Microsoft, I've been watching this chart, and I've been reading this chart. I'm trying to figure out what happens next, but we'll look into that. Why am I so interested in that? Because of this thing. So there's an upcoming, dividend. Maybe not tomorrow itself. This is a weekly chart, but yeah, there's an upcoming dividend for Microsoft. So it would be interesting to see how it plays out here. Okay, now let's go back into index SPX. So this happened, right? This broke. We knew clearly it was going down. And 393 was the line in the sand, and this number is coming from here, right about here. Right, so this broke, and then my expectation was is to continue to the downside and probably push down here. And where is my other chart? And yeah, this was the reason I was looking for 295. Got that. Right now, I don't want this chart. And look at that, it is fitting everything nice and easy, 11,300, right? And I'm of this, my thinking is that it shouldn't actually stop there, but it did because there's a Bollinger Band. It is, but I'm not satisfied. I really want to push it down into this 1100, right? So this is the number I'm actually watching. I really want this to push down into 1100. So there's still more to the downside, and that's the reason I am still thinking that Tesla is 400, or Tesla 400 will work out pretty decent in our favor. Tesla will reach 400? No. This week, absolutely not. I'm not looking into that. Tesla 700 and below, that will juice up your options. So that's the reason I was looking at this Tesla 400. Even Tesla 600 will do, but Tesla 400 was very cheap. So yeah. This chart makes sense. Then let's get into this chart. Oops. SPX SPY. So this is the number I was looking for on SPY all day long. We got that number right about here. And we pushed down a bit, fair enough. And then this is also there to anchor us. Now what? So my understanding is that this is still a very good possibility. I think yesterday I made a note of this, 3750 or something like that. There is a very good chance that 3730 will get hit. Tomorrow, I don't know because Apple needs to push down. And we know Apple carries a lot of weight. If Apple pushes down, then we are looking for SPX 3730, and SPY, we are still waiting on the 70s. So this needs to happen for things to get at least, somewhere where I am satisfactorily looking at buys, right? And other thing now, Till here it was clear. Till here we knew that it's going to come in and whatnot and everything. Now this is a little bit of a stretch, and we need Apple and Microsoft to push down. Why is it a bit of stretch, and why I'm a little bit concerned with the bounce here? Because of this guy. This guy has come out all the way down here, right? 100. It is hitting negative 100. How far it can it go? I don't know. That's just, it has come back way down, and this is we are talking about monthly chart here, and this is not a daily chart or 1 hour chart. We're looking at the monthly chart, and this thing has gone way down here. So that's the reason I'm looking for a bounce. Will the bounce come now? I don't know. I don't really have any understanding of that, but I'm certainly looking for a bounce. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to trade it to the downside. That doesn't mean that I'm still not in the camp that is calling for SPY 370. I am still for all of that. But this guy, if it turns, there will be a bounce, and it will catch people off guard. And again, of course, I'm pretty sure that institutional investor are very aware of all of these things. It will be the retail that will get killed, because they don't really, now it's market is going down, down, down. They want to get in puts and whatnot. At the moment it kind of reverses, people will start to exit their puts with a loss, and yeah, that's just how it works. So unless somebody is confident about their charting and confident about all the technicals on higher time frames and whatnot, they can't hold the trade. And that's a big, big, big issue, not just for us, or for many, many people. So uh, so here's the thing. Uh, and the technicals, I don't believe that it's going to go all the way to the down 200. I don't believe that. As of now, as of where things are standing, I don't believe that. SPX, 3400. I'm not there yet mentally. I'm not there yet. That I'm unable to kind of conceive that thought of the SPX breaking 3500 as of now. But who knows, right? Things. SPX was trading at about 4800 not too long ago, and it came right back crashing into 3800s or 3900s rather. But yeah, this if this happens, then I would think the correction would be complete. That's how I'm thinking. If this happens, if SPX 3500 happens, then I believe that correction is complete, and I will be a net buyer of the markets here. Uh, but would I trade the markets to the upside? Yes, absolutely. I'll trade the markets to the upside. Now, how far the markets can bounce, and that depends by and large on Apple. Apple 143 and bounce, or Apple 146 and bounce. Both are valid cases, and we'll go through Apple in a minute, but both are valid cases. Apple 133 will bring us 143 will bring us close to this number, 3900, somewhere around there, 3900, 3980, somewhere around that number. Sorry, 3900 to 3890. So we should be able to get that number pretty easily if Apple 143 happens. Apple 143 will again be a big number, just like Apple 152 was, uh, because of a super trend sitting there on the high Kanashi. So high Kanashi super trends are way more uh, what do you call formidable versus the regular super trends. So watch out for that. Uh, I'm still in the camp that says 3900 is very plausible, and I'm still in the camp that says Apple 143. I'm still in the camp that says Microsoft 356. But yeah, and all of that should happen, and then we'll have SPX sub 39, and I really want to see that. Not really plotting anything below into 35, but this is a very good possibility as of how things are looking at. Mr. Powell comes in tomorrow. I don't know if any Fed member comes in tomorrow, says another 75 bips. Yeah, we got an issue there, but that would be a good thing. Markets will suffer in the short term, but that would be a good thing in the long term, because if the Fed says from 50 bips to 75 bips, that would push the 10-year up. And right now, we are looking at 10-year pushing down, and that is bad. And when the market realizes that 10-year is coming back down, instead of starting to go up, it will start to pull it back down because of economic activity will take a hit based on that. Then yeah, it will start to come back down. But let's see how institutions perceive. At least that's the way I'm looking at things. If institutions have a different mindset, looking at because they have way more metric that and metrics and data that I can look at. So if institutions perceive that 10-year coming down is good for business and cheaper borrowing, I don't know. But if that's the case, then yeah, then market will again start to push up. But as of now, I don't see that happening. And tomorrow, if the rally happens, short covering happens, then 406, 4006 is where I'm sitting for this thing to the upside. And again, we'll go down into the 1 hour chart and whatnot. But for 4006 is where I'm sitting for the upside. Should that clear, this is where it is headed, 4052. And this will act as some solid resistance here at 4052. But I don't see it actually beyond 4011 or 400, 4006. Let's see how that plays out. And let's go on the 1 hour chart. Where is that? There. So yeah, right about here. My base case to the upside is, let's say, I think if the markets were to be open, it should be trading somewhere around here, 39.40, somewhere around this range. And I think my base case to the upside would be here, 39.69. And my good to have would be right about here, 39.79. The mean is sitting about at here, 4,000. So if the market clears 4,000, 4,005 tomorrow, then we are looking for, maybe a sustained rally for about another, I don't know, another 50 to 100 points to the upside. But that 4,000 will act as some sort of a cycle level. But there's no real importance to that besides the mean sitting at the 4,000. But people take these whole numbers as I don't know, good for trading or whatnot. But yeah, there's no other significance than the mean on the hourly is sitting at 4,000, and if it clears 4,000, there's a good shot at 413. We will reassess this whole situation here when it happens. In fact, right here, we will start to reassess the situation if it clears the mean on the hourly. The mean right now is falling at around 4,000. That clears, we'll look for an upside later. Uh, yeah, not looking at this chart, daily SPX. Let's take a look at that right here. So if it breaks above 4,000 level, then we are looking for a hit of 40.50. Most likely we can count on this one as well. 40.30, 40.50. And why am I looking for a bounce? Oversold conditions, oversold conditions, oversold conditions. So, and even on the weekly, we are getting into oversold conditions here. On the monthly, we are getting into oversold conditions. So that's the reason I'm kind of looking for an ephemeral bounce. And this is also coming into some solid support here. So yeah, but then make no mistake, there is still a downside available to S&P, probably 3,700. And if it breaks 3,700 with volume and some bad news is coming in, then this is where it is headed, sub 35. And we want to see Apple at 120, somewhere around that. And Apple 120 is pretty reasonable. Now let's jump into Apple. Why is that thing so important to us? uh, Apple, a firm is at 1460. What the fuck? Wow. Right. So Apple is, we all knew that this was going to happen with Apple. This is the weekly chart for Apple, right? And this is where we were sitting, watching whatnot with Apple. The moment Apple break here, then we went short on Apple, captured pretty decent to the downside. 147 was, I was looking for 147 because This Bollinger Band at the moment when we were looking for that number was at 147 something here, and as it started to break, it it adjusted itself to a downside. So now what? Well, I was kind of thinking that towards the end of the day, this will actually come into this number 143, and we'll have a bounce tomorrow. That's what my thinking was. What that did not happen, but I'm still in the camp that thinks that this should happen. This should happen, and this will be a bounce point, and I think decent bounce. This will be a bounce point, or at least it will be a point like here where it kind of stalled for a period of time before giving a downside. So I'm expecting this to be, a bounce, a solid bounce spot. Even if not a solid bounce spot, this will act pretty, this will act as a pretty decent support line. It will break eventually. It will break the way the things are going. Eventually, it will break, and most likely, it will push into this number. My I and here somewhere around here, it actually did rally off of that number around here somewhere. But my thinking is that it should come back into 137 and go down here and follow this super trend here. 132 and most likely about here. This is where I want to see Apple. And this would be awesome actually if that happens. That it kind of pushed up, pushed up, pushed up. Now it's taking a breather and starting to come back in, and this will get hit. And once you put, the once you minimize the chart a little bit, then you can clearly see, and your analysis will, start to make sense, way more sense actually. So you see the big picture. Now it's gonna go hit this number, and it's gonna come back into this number, and most likely it will push all the way down here. Right? And I don't know if by the time it starts to push down, the 200 days starts to creep up, and we might catch the 200 somewhere around here at around 109 or something. That'd be nice. So I'll be an absolute net buyer of Apple around 109, even in fact at 120, because this is a number I am looking at to grab onto Apple. But if it does happen, I'll be a net buyer of Apple. But this was a line in the sand today. It broke and market pushed down. And tomorrow, I think Apple, I'm looking for 143.67, bounce here, and perhaps come back in and test it for a while, and this will be the market chop right here. Apple pushing and pulling around this number. This will be a market chop. Ideally, it should break below there and start to push into 137. That would be absolute carnage on the street. So that's the reason Apple is important. And if you switch to Apple monthly, right about here. Am I looking for that as of now? No, not really. But this is the number I'm looking for. A hit of 143.50, whatever this number is. So we have solid support on the monthly and the weekly. And I believe, I strongly believe that Apple will test this number and Apple will bounce off of this number. Ephemeral, non-ephemeral, we'll figure that out later. That would largely depend on how market would perceive the conditions that the market would be in tomorrow. But there will be a bounce, and forget bounce. This will get hit, no question there. There will be a bounce. Most likely, I'm thinking ephemeral bounce. Let's see how far the bounce could go. I don't know, 151 maybe. I don't know, 151, 152. Why am I looking for that? On the weekly, you have that super trend still sitting on top at 152 or something like that. So the range would be 143.50 to 152 to the upside. So that's the range that we're going to be playing in. That's a big range. $10 range for Apple is a very big range. And if Apple starts to push up, there will be a rally. If the Apple breaks here and starts to push down into 140 and then probably into 136. But ideally, this is the path I want Apple to take. Cool thing? And probably this we'll get into here later. Sometime we'll get into there. But the thesis says if the price enters the inner Bollinger Band like it did here, the chances of it hitting the mean are exponential. And if it hits the mean, then the chances of it coming back into lower inner Bollinger Band are exponential. So I'm going by that thesis right now. Right. So, and Microsoft, and sorry, let's go back to Apple Weekly. And this is the number that I was talking about right here. Right. So, between this super trend to the downside and this super trend to the upside, that's the game. And that's where the game would be played. And now let's shift into Microsoft. And we were looking for this thing to get hit. It did get hit. And then what am I looking for next? And then this is another reason market couldn't push back further down. But let's go here, monthly, and yep, this is waiting for Microsoft. This is pretty much set in stone now. 258 is pretty much set in stone. Should that break below, and I'm expecting it to break there and push into this inner lower Bollinger Band about 256. Would I be a net buyer of it there? And maybe, perhaps. And Microsoft is a better company versus Apple. Actually, that's a fact. But yeah, it's much better run, and they have actually products that anyways, yeah. So and if that breaks there, and we are pushing into this number 227, and I do believe that app Microsoft will need to go there. Microsoft will need to test 227 or something like that. This needs to happen for Microsoft. And again, if Apple and Microsoft are down, which they are pointing to the downside, the averages and everything is pointing to the downside. I still believe that S&P sub 35 is possible because of these two components. Meanwhile, we'll live with the S&P 3700. Yeah. So I'm still looking at this thing to come into 259, whatever this number is, then probably push into this number. We'll be looking for an ephemeral bounce. If it bounces there, where is it going to go? Right back into this number. Right. So let's say if it pushes down to 256 here, and if it starts to push back up, it will run right back into this number. What if it doesn't come back down? What if it starts to push from here? Then we are still looking for an upside into this number. I wouldn't be counting on it as of now, but again, I'll go back into this chart, the 1 hour chart, and I will look for a trend here. Right? This is telling me that this is oversold, and that's the reason. Simply, it was oversold here. Same exact thing we are going to witness again. Oversold, push up. Oversold, push up. This is the same thing we're going to see again. Hit of 5, hit of 8, and the mean is sitting at about 266. And this is the reason I'm looking for a bounce. And Apple and Microsoft bounce, then it will obviously pull the entire market with it. Ephemeral bounce, yes, I want to see an ephemeral bounce. And also Microsoft is bouncing off of a good level, so that's another thing. Facebook, I'm still in the camp that thinks Facebook will need to go back into that monthly here, right here. This is a monthly average. I think 100 moving average. I forgot what it is, but I'll check it out right now. But this is where Facebook needs to go, and it will go there. I don't doubt that. And there, this is the moving average, 100-day moving average on the monthly, and the downside is still intact, even though this is giving you a signal saying that perhaps the downside is done for now. This is giving you a signal there, but it's still in the downside. So I'm thinking that there, this should be where the it should calm down things for Facebook. Would I still be a buyer of it? No. I would want somebody else to buy it before me, right? I don't want to be the guy who would buy first and then panic if it goes down and then sell it, and see it go up back up. I don't want to be the guy. I want to be the guy. If it hits here, or even if it starts to bounce back up here, I will catch something around here, right? I might catch around somewhere around 195 to 200. I'm good with $5 catch. I'm okay there. And I think if it starts to push, again, we'll look for 225. But right now, not really plotting that. Not really plotting that. So this is the range the game would be played in for Facebook. And if you're somebody who thinks a little longer term, between 173 and to the upside, this is 231. This is where the game would be played for Facebook. And coming back into Netflix, this is one of the better stocks that to trade right now. Pretty predictable, and don't even have to tell you where it is going to go, right? So this is where it is headed, right? So, and then you guys know what to do with it. And right now, this is orphaned here. So if Apple starts to push up, then we can look for a push into not 235. What am I looking? But this will need to happen. And after that, it might bounce off of this number. I will be a net buyer of Netflix around these levels. How do I want to take a position? I would want to sell puts, and through puts, I want to take position here. And let's see. And Netflix is doing something really cool. I think a majority of the stocks, the growth stocks, will continue to do that, which is getting oversold here. This is the monthly time frame we are looking at. And then let's shift to weekly. So this is what is happening, right? This is what is happening. It's getting oversold, and it is sustainingly staying oversold. So this could happen at any time, and it's just a matter of time. This will start to push up and start to push up into 30 and whatnot. So, and I want to be prepared for this one. Even if I'm able to catch a 20-point rally on this, I'm okay. Not saying that rally would happen tomorrow itself, but whenever that happens, I want to capture that rally. Uh, Out of 40, 50, how much ever it's going to move, I just want to capture maybe 15 to 20 out of it. I will be happy with that. Netflix daily. So this is what I'm watching, and this is exactly what I'm watching. And I not just I, but I believe majority of the market participants are watching this. Exactly this. You see this one little green thing here, bar on the histogram for MACD. Yeah. So this is, even though this is coming down, the price is coming down. MACD is telling you that the selling pressure is easing now, and it is actually going green here. So again, same thing with Netflix as well. If it pushes up, I don't want to be the first guy who would buy this thing, right? I want to be the guy somewhere around here, will get in here probably and hit this number 185 or something, and most likely push a little bit above that and get out. That's how I want to play that. And this is oversold for a bit of time now. And so far, nobody wants to touch it, but clearly the selling is easing now on the histogram. And lastly, this guy, VIX. So the markets push down, VIX push down. What's going on? So this push down on the markets is not a VIX induced. It is not a VIX induced push down. VIX is still red on the day, and markets still red on the day. So uh, you can easily make that out, right? This is not a VIX induced sell off. This is happening because of macro, micro conditions and your tenure, your other indicators, housing, and whatnot. So, based on that, the markets are getting pushed on, and valuations and fundamentals. So, based on that, markets are pushing down. And and also, I think there's a bit of, uh, uh, I don't know, um, and to me, I don't know about others, but to me, it seems like that institutions were not happy the way things were carried out for the last 2 years. Institutions were just not happy about it, and they just wanted this whole gambling sort of part to which took place the last 2 years to end it, and they're putting a brutal end to this. And I don't know if anybody is making money in the markets, especially the retail side of people, because they don't really understand, what is a bear market and how to deal with a bear market. At least not many of them understand that. Not many people even know what is shorting, right? And people stay away from options. People don't understand shorting. How are you going to make money? You're going to look for bounces, and until you're really good with charting, really good with understanding, VIX and all that other stuff, you will not be able to find bounces here and there. you would still lose money. And that's what I'm seeing across Twitter. People are losing money, the retail folks, even the people who have been in this business for like few years, even they are losing money because they are trying to catch the bottom, and because they are spoiled for the last 2 years, they don't really understand how things work. And I'm of the thinking that again, I'll tie it back to my argument about a bounce. This is the reason. And if this continues to push down into 30 and it breaks below into these numbers here, right about here, 28 and then 27, and the market rally will sustain. And this is the reason I was looking for that bounce. Cool thing. Let's stop it here. TikTok time. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep, yep. So, yeah, let's open the floor for questions, comments, ideas, anything. Just unmute and talk. You're on. Yes, sir.
Praying for my puts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I swung two SPX puts because the market closed under 339.40.
Man, I wanted that thing to push down so hard into 390s. That would have been fun.